We're going to concentrate on and take a very basic dive into CRM and sales management for home builders. So on the CRM side, for tracking, capturing those prospects from your website originally, taking them through the entire sales cycle, start to finish, so that we can see how many contacts, how many touches, and what other marketing campaigns have we done for them. Generating a quote for the customer, or even a pro forma preliminary contract for them to sign off, and as well the final contract, either hand signed, scanned and reattached, or using Docusign. We'll touch a little bit on the marketing kind of campaigns, what I'll call drip marketing campaigns that you can set up for your customers. And we're finally going to kind of peek into the customer portal. That's where from the front side on your website, they have access to you from the sales side, but through the entire customer life cycle, are they available to reach you 24/7, making it better customer experience for them. So a little bit about BuilderMT. We are the leader in home technology for home builders. If you are not aware, we were established in Australia. So one of our founders, Graham Price, wrote the original code for the purchasing side of BuilderMT. And we finally talked him into moving to the States, and he now lives here in Colorado. It is a completely integrated system from the sales front end and account management, purchasing, counting, and all the way to final warranty. So once again, we want to be able to capture leads on your website, keep them interested, and then follow that all the way through in an ecosystem built just for home builders. So what we concentrate on in 5 quick steps is the plans and estimating. Are you using Revit and BIM now? Are you using Qubit or something else for a 2D tracing system? How can we leverage those plans, those electronic documents, and the estimating work that you've done, and create those options, those models, those sales prices that we want to present out to your salespeople so they can generate an electronic contract that then gets accepted into production. We issue out POs. We collaborate in the field with a schedule and approving when work is done in the field. BI tools for looking into your accounting, purchasing, and sales systems. So it's reporting across your entire business so you can have a better finger on the pulse of what's happening in your business. And then all the way down to warranty and dealing with the post-sale with your customers and customer loyalty programs. Do you survey them? What kind of information can you get back from them to rank your suppliers or to rank yourself and how you're doing, and come up with strategies and plans for improving your business? So the basic question, what is CRM, or customer relationship management? And that is a whole life cycle for a person. As we've said, it's capturing them on your website. How do they find you? How do we manage that relationship? Is it phone calls? Is it emails? Is it physical letters that we've mailed out to them? Are you sending SMS texts to them? And tracking all of that, all those contact points. So no matter who in your business can look into a CRM system and see these are the contact points that we've made so that your buyers have a better customer experience. So following through on that sales cycle is automating those actions for your salespeople. Did you make this phone call this week, next week? Send this email. Here's the template that we'd like for you to use. Those are done with automated workflows, automated follow-ups that are once again queued up for the salesperson. Those electronic documents that your marketing team drafts and brands for you, and we can just use those and basically mail merge fields like they are in Word and make those personalized documents in your email campaigns or physical printout letters to mail to your buyers. And then dashboarding, look at those activity reviews. What salesperson did this, how many phone calls, how many emails, knowing when and where your salespeople are spending their time so you can track those metrics. Generating quotes from that, the models and options and selections the customer made. Using a standard quote form or your quote form, we customize it and merge it together and can send a quote electronically, just a PDF report, or we can drive that to the final contract. As I said before, you can print one out, they can sign it, scan it back, attach it to the system, or create a Docusign and go entirely electronic. Marketing campaigns. So I said before, kind of drip marketing campaigns. Let's queue up, because I'm collecting demographic information from my buyers and my leads. Let's queue up a marketing campaign for them. And I want to use the criteria, age group, number of kids, buying time frame or area that they're in, or any one of 70 custom fields that you can have in demographics. Let's limit those and create a very specific targeted marketing campaign and send those out to them. Analyze your campaign effectiveness with click-throughs, click opens, and how many revisits back to your website. Sort and review the prospects that you're having there. You can also rank your prospects by your salesperson's, we'll say, gut instinct. They say that this is a hot lead, but if I go look at that buyer inside the sales system, I can see that we've never sent them an email, nobody's ever recorded a phone call, they've never been to our website. How do these people get in there? Because they feel they got a BRC at a design center and someone typed them in, but we have no contact. So there's actually analytical data that we can track and using a point system based on our interactions. And then you also get to leverage in that kind of gut instinct from your salesperson. Is this a good lead or not? There are standard grid forms. So once again, we can capture those from your website. Someone fills out a form, we can capture that lead. Or in your display homes, if they fill out a nice little card and say, this is, we came here or we came there, there's an admin screen that's a matrix, so they can come in and just check off boxes after this person has been entered. Or my suggestion is to put a touch screen in your display homes, or have a sales consultant that has an iPad with a lead capture form, and all they have to do is type in that information and click save, and it puts it inside SalesSimplicity and starts that drip marketing campaign. Let's leverage that same information and increase and improve the customer experience on the front end. Let your buyers do it online. Let them sit at home on an iPad, laying in bed, while mom and dad are looking through the options, selections, choices, plans, lots, and even down to cabinet selections that they want to make and add to it. This can be a pre or post-contract experience. You can expose this out to your website and do what I say, allow someone to create emotional investment in that home. They picked out the house. They picked it down to the exact tile and finishes that they wanted for that house. They just spent the last 3 hours on your website. They are more likely going to buy from you than a competitor that just showed them a quick PDF floor plan and they went running to the next builder. And then let's look at that post-contract. Once again, the customer portal via SalesSimplicity is your 24/7 interaction with your buyers. They can see the selections that they've made. They can see the selections they need to make. Track any documents, photographs, site or field photos that you want to attach to that. They can see their local weather. There's a warranty portal for it. This becomes your connection, once again, your sales advocate, 24/7, 365. A customer can log in and see all the wonderful information that you've posted out there for them. So I'm going to kind of jump and let's go kind of a little bit live. I want to walk you through a sales process as quickly as possible from beginning to end in a very short period of time. So I come to the builder's website and I can reserve now. I can go see floor plans or model homes that are out there, or I can choose one of the homes that are what we call a spec home. I can move in right now, put a deposit down on it. I actually want to build my own home. I've heard about BuilderMT homes before, and I could see where they build and what areas. I've done a little bit of research. I dropped by this subdivision before, so this is kind of where I want to build a house. We can thumb through the floor plans that are out here. I can view a panoramic view of it. I can see more detailed images and scroll through the library of images. And I'll pause here. Everything that we've seen so far, the wrapper is your website. All the content that's been delivered has all been in SalesSimplicity. So you put your data in one place and you use it up and down through the entire ecosystem. So this image, this description, this plan information, the lat-long map that you saw on Google when we picked our area, the name of the plan, and all of the options that we're going to select from here on out all came directly from your sales system. So once again, let's put it in one place and run it downstream. Let's just make one up. And what did I call that one? Last name. Last name, and he's Claudio. And I'm not even going to do this. And let's do the ultra secret password of password. You can have this form pop up at any time. SalesSimplicity is able to track your website, every single page, and we capture that IP address, what page they were on, how long they were on each page. And even if someone does not fill out a form on your website for weeks after coming to your website, as soon as they fill in a form to capture information, we have kept track of their entire history that they spent on your website, and we can now connect that IP address with a physical name for somebody, and we can finish it out. I'm going to run through and pick a lot. I got to make sure I pay attention to the name. I picked Claudio. You can do this as an interactive floor plan. Mine's set up to be a very basic one. I've also specifically turned on cost on the front end. So once again, you can turn off the actual dollar figures that you see here. I'm going to make a couple of just basic selections. I'm going to do this pedestal and that washer. You saw that was the rule that I had created in SalesSimplicity that says I can't add a pedestal without a washer. And I'm going to come in and let's pick beach cabinets. So these categories are the same categories that are in SalesSimplicity. Those subcategories for those items are all from SalesSimplicity. The photograph, the price, the description, all once again came from your sales system. I made a couple of quick selections. I need to pay attention that I logged in. I made one called Claudio last name. So if I come in here and do a quick search, and let's hope I don't have a ton of last names in here. So I do, there's my Claudio last name. I picked one here on lot 81. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right to the options that we chose from the website. So this is what a salesperson would see. They would got an email, and if you guys heard my email being in the background there, when I filled out that form and said submit, it sent an email to the salesperson and says there's a new lead out on your website. You can route those leads automatically, internally or externally, to any one of 60 some odd different standard workflow messages that we go through. There's that washer pedestal. There's a washer that I picked. I picked elevation B, and there's the beach arch wood cabinets that I chose. This is access to my full CRM system. And then I can come in here and start to choose those same categories that you saw on the web page. I can start to add more and more items to my list, or I can just say select all of my standard selections for this home that they chose. I have my lot. I have the elevation that I pick, and I'm starting to work up the base price, the option selections that I did, and I've got my total purchase price. I can do a quick print options from here and hand this to the customer and say, here you go. Here are the selections that you made. If I want to do a basic, so I've got a basic purchase agreement here. If I want to do a basic purchase agreement, or you can call this your quote, it's once again, however you want this to be worded, and we're just mail merging in the selections that they made, the total price for it, and then they sign at the bottom. Or I can actually drive this to contract. And I can pick a Docusign contract or purchase agreement for DS, this old Docusign, and it will run through electronically so that a person can then sign off on $422,000 in a span of just a few minutes. Let's jump back to the original buyer information. We want to talk about the CRM side of things. So I've got Claudio here, and let's go look at the follow-up. What is happening when I clicked save on that website? What has happened on the back end in my CRM system to make sure that I'm keeping up? This has been assigned to a salesperson already. On the first day, send this thank you card, or send a letter. Make a phone call to identify the ranking. Do a second phone call 8 days later, 10 days later, 15 days later. This is walking them through a standard process. And on the right-hand side, I have my little interactions. I can jump to edit them. I can view all the follow-up across all of it. Schedule tasks for just this lead. You guys can read all of that. I'm going to jump to view all follow-up because I looked at just what I had for Claudio, but I want to go pay attention to all of the other leads that I have set up for myself already. I'm going to look at some of the emails that I sent out. Now, let's say I sent one out to myself here. There's a little preview of the email that I sent. This does hook with Office 365 or Microsoft Exchange. So whether your emails are coming in, if you can send emails from here directly, or if you've got your connected Office 365 or Exchange system, we will track them from there and also from inside the system. And I've got, as an example, Rico's got his hooked up. He's also in charge of my design center. So if I go look at what do we got on Rico's calendar? So I see that he's got a design center block at midnight. Man, he likes to work. I can look up Claudio here. I can find Claudio. That's that scenario one that we picked. And it's going to be scheduled. It's confirmed for, he's going to take up this Design Center 5 block for Claudio. And I now have created an event for Claudio, also for Rico, and assigned somebody to this Design Center block to sit down with Rico to make their final selections if they want to come into my Design Center. Let's look a little bit about customer marketing. So how is that set up? I can choose my criteria. So I want to say for my single family homes division. And I want to say that, let's say, all the leads that came in from Apartment Guide. And you'll see that I've got 40 leads that fit this criteria. I can export this list out, or I can use my e-marketing tools. And if you have access, if you've been given access as a salesperson, I can choose any one of the templates that we have. So your marketing group has created these, and I can come in as a salesperson and I can make small edits where I've been given permission to fill out those edits or add a little personal note to just this very specific campaign. I click send, it queues up the emails and sends them out. So how do I know who my hot leads are? We talked before about what a gut instinct is, so what the salesperson thinks is going to happen, but also then let's look at this more analytically. If I look at Connie at Schugert, she came into our web visits. She spent time on these pages, has not opened any emails, no emails back, but I do have B-backs, as in she showed up to the office. I manually forced these B-backs so that I could end up with Connie on my Wonder Wall. I can see the Wonder Wall as a list like this. I can also choose that this person is hidden for a week, a day, or a month, but I can also see it in wall format. If I have my social media profile set up for Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and they have an open account, so they have their image, we will pull in their Facebook in their unsecured profile. As a sales administrator, I can also come in and go see across all of my salespeople, their customers that are currently, where are those in their pipeline, what activities they've done, and how many appointments. For the emails that were sent out, how many were sent, how many were open, how many bounced back, and then website visits. If I need to drive down to a little more email information, I want to see this one that went out and how many links and which person clicked, opened it, and which person clicked it. So as an example, this one that went out, I see that Rico Demo Test opened that email twice. So I'm going to run back up front here. And you saw some of the follow through that we do with it, some of the marketing, printing those reports, doing some of those contracts, some of those campaigns. But how did some of these start? Those automated tools and pieces that you saw is I've got one in here just called Richard's Campaign. And for the start, you create your criteria for this campaign. A phone call happens first. What script for the phone call needs to happen? And I can use mail merge fields. And then I want them to send an email. And I want that to happen 1 day later. So make a phone call and the next day send an email. And then I want you to call them again and send them another email and then do a letter. Then they're going to come to a decision and no, and here's my decision filter for where they're going to go, yes, and there's my decision filter when the answer comes out yes for that. And let's say if it's no, then we want to hound over phone calls. We want to keep calling them until we get some different answer or we get them to come back to a design center. For somebody that's happy, we're just going to send them a little email, say we love them. And I can put in durations and times for all this. So very quickly, I can drag and drop a campaign. What criteria do people start in the campaign and when does it end? What criteria does make them end? Now, if someone moves out of this, let's say this is my lead criteria, when they change status, when I'm looking at their selections, this can now become, this falls out of this criteria and I can create one for a buyer campaign. And it's a different phone calls, different emails. So you generally can only have a customer in a single campaign at a time. So you need to be careful about your criteria for how they start and end. So someone's in the sales process. They came in, they went to the website, made a few selections. They came into the office, had a few conversations, made a few selections. Let's say they put a deposit down on a house to get started. You can give them access to the customer portal so they can log in and see there's the beach cabinets. They can log in and see some of the choices that they've already made. They can see the option choices that they still need to make. And if you'll also see, we have cutoff phases. This is attached. The selections that are on the front end of the sales side are attached to your schedule and those cutoff phases. So we can choose to turn those off so that the customer does not see it, or even the salesperson does not see that as an available option, so they don't pick the wrong thing. Photos and document choices that they've had, and then this is just very easy to do. If they want to do warranty, if they want to see their schedule, this is where I can pop Rico's schedule and let's see what's happening with the design center. They can see the milestones of their construction schedule. I highly suggest you don't publish the entire construction schedule, just some major milestones. They're estimated in actual dates. Or there's also inside of SalesSimplicity an escrow schedule. And this can be anything that you want to. This is just a list of things for a buyer. You still need to sign your buyer docs. You still need to they need to get sent to the lender. We need to process your mortgage. So you can make these whatever items you want in their standard escrow schedule. So it's just a you need to. It's a nice way for the customer to keep track. Or the same thing we saw before in that same interface is I can come back to the scenarios that I have saved. I can edit and change my selections on the scenarios that I have so that when I go to the design center, my meetings are more fruitful. A design center appointment is not 2 or 3 or 4 days spread out over weeks of time, because they invested the time at night to make the selections they want. That can turn that into a couple of hours to drive forward the construction schedule so that everybody gets paid sooner. We get through more homes during the year, less thrash time with a buyer making selections when they can do it on their own. And NAHB study says that a person who is able to make their own selections generally spends 30% more on buyer options than they did at the design center. So I'm going to stop and take a deep breath, and I'm going to go here. And I know that was kind of fast, and hopefully I wasn't speaking too quickly. That was relatively clear, even though it was a very high end. We'd love to talk to you more about it and go more in depth if anybody is interested. But can we just open the floor for questions for anybody?